Owls of Ohio, how much work we put on our graduate students. And Brandon is always stepping up. He goes into the libraries around the communities and helps to educate community members, and it's so appreciated. It's really our pleasure to have him come and talk to us about owls of Ohio.
PhD student at Ohio University. I actually studied the hooded warbler. I studied breeding ecology of the hooded warbler in Tar Hollow and in Zaleski State Forest. Breeding behavior, nesting behavior, things like that of the hooded warbler. Huge field teams that go out every summer. We capture all the birds, we band them, we find all their nests, figure out how many babies they have each year, how bad the cowbirds are that year, and how many of them get parasitized by cowbirds. But I actually started out studying birds back in Pennsylvania, where I got my bachelor's degree. The barn owls in Pennsylvania, they're not doing really well. If you think about Pennsylvania and Ohio, they were both these heavily forested areas, and then people came in, did a lot of clear cutting, made these things into old fields. Those farms were very inefficient, so there was a lot of small mammals, populations were breeding, and a lot of the owls and a lot of the other birds that were using these fields were doing really well. And then, you start making these farms more efficient, and then the owls can't find enough food. So barn owls were doing very well in Pennsylvania, but near the university, there were two barn owl nests that were both doing really, really well. So there was a barn owl's nest, they were less than a mile apart. They both had clutches of 5 in one season. And so we're like, what in the world is going on? Where are they finding all this food? So we went out, and my advisor was a small mammal biologist. And so we go out, we capture all the small mammals in these fields, we put these little ear tags in their ears with numbers written on them, etched into them. And then we would go to the barn owl nest and collect these things right here. They throw up everything that they can't eat, they can't digest, and we sift through the pellets and try to find these little ear tags to figure out where they were finding all their food. And then I started working with northern saw-whet owls with another guy who's a state biologist, trying to catch these little tiny owls that migrate through Pennsylvania, Ohio. We're trying to figure out just where they're migrating to. Just be releasing a little baby. Some of the owls we find in Ohio, some of the weird ones that have shown up in Ohio in the past. Owls, they're found all throughout the world. There's 2 families of owls. The first family is the Titonidae. These are the barn owls and the grass owls. Barn owls actually do live in Australia. But the other family is the Strigidae. These are what we call the true owls, and it's just Latin for owls. So there's 225 species of owl total in the world. This is the biggest and the smallest species of owl in the world. So this one right here you find throughout Asia. These owls actually hunt for fish. They go into the streams and actually grab fish out of the water. One of the main people who study these birds lives in Russia. Here he is holding a wing open from one. This is the smallest species of owl in the world. This is the elf owl out west. And there's somebody named him. You can kind of see how small those guys are. These owls all over the world. In the desert as well. They have a wide variety of diet. Some of the smaller species will eat insects. You have some that will eat reptiles. A lot of the bigger owls. This is called a powerful owl in Australia. I'm sorry, this is a curly spotted owl in Australia. And it's called a raccoon species. So they eat all kinds of different types of prey. And because they're typically these predators, and they're very at the top of the food chain, they're what we call keystone species. So this is kind of their real functional role in the ecosystem, is that they control the populations of a lot of the smaller mammals. So this is the barn owl up here. They have a broad distribution around the world. These are all the places around the world where they are. And then this is for the great gray owl. And so just those 2 species basically cover the world. In North America, there are 19 species of owls you find here. In Ohio, we really only see 8. And even of those 8, we don't really see very many often. And there's 4 species that have been found in Ohio, but probably not going to find them again anytime soon. One of those really uncommon owls, which are great gray, 2 of these that are spotted in Ohio, mostly up in the Great Lakes. Their Latin name is Strix nebulosa. Strix means owl, and nebulosa is hazy, uncertain blurs. So these they call these like the ghosts of the north. Very rarely do you ever see them, and when you do see them, it's just them whizzing by real fast. It's a boreal owl. This looks a lot like the northern saw-whet owl, a tiny bit bigger, but again, this is a very northern species. This is where they breed, and it's where they're year-round residents. Sometimes if it's a really, really, really cold winter, they'll come down a little bit further. There was one boreal owl sighted in Ohio. It was in 1977. Owls being these evil omen birds, a lot of the Latin name, a lot of the Greek names for these owls, they're bad. This is the deadly bird of an evil omen. They breed out here in the west, and they'll sometimes winter down in southern Florida. And so sometimes they'll have birds that are kind of migrating from their breeding grounds to their wintering grounds, and they'll kind of pass through places like Ohio. Sometimes you'll see a lot of owls being considered these evil omens, or as wisdom and interestingness and just intelligence. Ina, which is the genus for this bird, is the goddess of the It's actually a diurnal owl. So these are not active at night, these are active during the day. And it's interesting too, their Latin name actually says that. It's an owlish looking bird that's not active at night. These are a little bit further south. These are a little bit less common seen owls of Ohio. Northern saw-whet owls are actually fairly common. This is one of my favorite species out there. The permanent resident range is very close to Ohio. Every year, people will go out and they will just go crazy and they will try to find all these different bird species and who's breeding where, how many of them are breeding in different parts of the different states. So this is their call. I teach ornithology every fall, so we're getting ready to go up to Lake Erie for our fall field trip. These actually do come down south to winter. Barn owls, the wisdom guardians. Same reasons that I mentioned that they weren't doing so well in Pennsylvania, so same kind of reasons here in Ohio. So we're kind of letting our forest grow back. It really came into Ohio when we started this kind of intense agriculture and people came here. And now that we're making our farms more efficient, and then we're letting some of those older farms kind of restore back to forest, we're losing the barn owls. The barn owls are a really cool species in the sense that least owl, or long-eared owls. There was actually a couple of these in Athens County last winter. They were migrating through. The short-eared owls, if you go to places like the wilds, you can see quite a few short-eared owls. They really like these kind of large expanses of feed. And you usually see them closer to the ground. So a lot of times you think of owls kind of being up in the trees or high up. These guys like being a little closer to the ground. On hay bales, there's a northern species that they'll spend their winters here. The eastern screech owl, this is one of the most common species of owls we have in Ohio. If you're ever out in the woods, these actually you will hear fairly commonly. Did you ever heard that before? It's pretty cool. But these little guys actually will eat a lot of the really tiny songbirds. Sometimes if you hear these things, you hear a bunch of other birds kind of hanging out and just calling and acting crazy. You find them by listening for mobbing. You listen for that trill. They like to nest in cavities. The great horned owl, so these are one of the largest species of owls we have in Ohio, other than the snowy owl. And they kind of have that quintessential owl call. So you've probably heard this one in Ohio. They're fairly common as well. They're very common, they're kind of everywhere. They usually will kind of winter the same place they breed, so they're a fairly common species again. And these ones are actually kind of nest out in the open. And when you're trying to find these guys, or during the winter time actually, listen for the pairs as they call back and forth. That's right around January is when they're starting to build their nests. The barred owl. This is probably the second most common owl in Ohio. And this one has the who cooks for you, who cooks for you. Bird people try to assign terms to their calls. Who cooks for you all? The great horned owls and the barred owls, the best way to do is to look for these guys is to also listen for crows. Crows are the ones that are getting eaten by these guys, and so whenever they see one of these great horned owls in the area, all the crows will come in and try to scare it away, so they'll kind of all gang up on it. So you can hear that's called mobbing. They also will like to take over nests of other species. If you know areas where you see herons nesting or different species of hawks nesting, sometimes they'll just sort of take over those nests. Don't go too close to their nest, these guys will attack you. They're starting to establish their territories and build their nest really, really early in the year. So January, early February is when you kind of really know when they're going to be most active or calling the most. Look for them in the tall trees. It's really good to find their silhouettes. So if you're out at night and you're trying to find owls, go with a flashlight. Just sort of light your eyes in dust and try to look for their silhouettes. Owls are these kind of top of the food chain. They're really important ecologically. They have a lot of adaptations that allow them to hunt for these small mammals that they're eating. They have really good vision at night. They have really big eyes. So the bigger the lens, the more likely to bring in. They also have very long eyes, and those long eyes allow them to make better images on their seeing cells in the back of their eye. They're actually so long that if you pull the ear back a little bit, you can actually see their eye through the skin. So their eye is actually ending right up here, so their eye is about that long. Hearing is actually more important for the owl. So owls do a lot of their hunting by sound. It hits this ear first and this ear second. If I hear something up there or down there, we actually have differences in the way our ears are shaped and allows us to figure that out. But owls don't have that. Owls can't actually tell whether it's up or down. And so a lot of owls actually have these asymmetrical ears. So one ear, you can see this is a boreal owl skull. This ear is pointing up and that ear is pointing down. So then they can use those two things together. Both, which ear is it hitting first, and then how loud is it to each ear. If you're hunting by sound, as soon as you take off, flying makes a lot of noise. This is a feather from a Canada goose. By flapping, you can hear this one, right? So as the Canada goose fly, they don't really have and you care if they make any noise when they fly. This is from a barn owl, and so barn owls want to be as silent as they possibly can. So they actually have these little tiny ridges on the front part of their feather. There's tiny little raised edges to the tip of the feather, which actually quiets that. You can't hear anything. They're predators, right? They're kind of the top of the food chain, and predators aren't as abundant as a lot of the prey items are. So they're fairly rare to begin with. They're active at night. They have these really big eyes, their heads can swivel in all kinds of directions, and because of all these things, there's been a lot of stigma associated with owls. They're these, like I said, these secretive things around at night. Who knows what they're doing in the shadows. But owls have gotten into a lot of lore. And again, they have this huge, broad distribution all over the globe. So a lot of cultures would consider them gods. The gods give them special abilities to be able to see at night. The Greeks really thought owls were the greatest thing in the world. The goddess Athena, who was the goddess of wisdom, and her best buddy was the owl. So the owls were really good to the Greeks. And if you saw an owl, it meant you were going to do well. The Romans, they were these demon spirits from hell. And if you saw one, it usually meant that you were going to die. And then a lot of the Europeans, being influenced by the Romans, thought that witches would turn into owls. That's how they got around. When you go back in time, owls were these really, really horrifying things. They think that some of the stigma associated with ghosts maybe come from things like barn owls. You're going through the cemetery at night, it's scary, and then you find this creepy, dilapidated old building. You don't really want to go inside, but you do, and all of a sudden, like this giant white thing flying silently comes out of the rafters, screams at you. Owls have gone from this terrifying death demons, gods, to kind of what they are today. The symbolism is still there. So owls are still associated with Athena in the sense that they're wise. They're just these happy little witch owls. This horrifying, death, evil thing. Today, they're really important as what we call flagship species. Species that people just know about, grown to love. And they're really what we can use as conservation tools. We need to make sure that their breeding habitat is safe. So we really focus a lot of times on birds in a breeding habitat. Indeed, I'm guilty of this as well. I studied the hooded warblers, I studied them in their breeding habitat. I guess I probably have to go down to the Central and South America. But we also have to pay attention to these wintering grounds. A lot of people do study the breeding grounds, a lot of people do study the wintering grounds, but very few people actually study what goes on in between. This is things like migration. And actually migration is one of the times when most adult birds die. So if you think about little songbirds, most of them don't really die in the breeding grounds, most of them don't really die on the wintering grounds, they die during migration. So migration is a really important, really critical time for a lot of bird species, but we just don't know very much about it. Just try to figure out kind of how owls migrate, when they migrate, how quickly they migrate, all these different aspects of where they go. And we do owl banding with Dr. Kelly Williams. She's recently moved here to New Marshfield, so she's actually doing some work at her place. I'm trying to see if she can get some breeding solved at owls. So if you guys want to kind of get more into owls, you just get a good field guide to help you identify those different birds, knowing when different species should be here, what type of habitats they like. There's a lot of phone apps now, actually, where you can take pictures of birds and like you're using algorithms to figure out what species it is. You can take pictures and put them online, and people will help you identify things. Ornithology. So you get on there, they have the breeding distributions, all those pictures of where they winter and where some of those are all from. Does anybody ever here use eBird? Lists of birds that you see in there, and it helps to figure out where birds are and when. You can join your local bird groups. Also do things like bird banding. Ohio actually is one of the few states that has a bird banding organization. They have meetings twice a year to see what bird banders in the state are doing. A lot of the bird banders actually have banding stations that they're willing to let people come and visit, and you guys can see the birds. It's a real quick overview of owls of Ohio. A lot of the owls that are here are permanent residents, so like the great horned owl and the barred owls, they're here all the time. So during the winter here, they're certainly visible, and there's not as many leaves on the trees. Then you also have, again, all those species that are from the north that are migrating south.
Of the species that are here all year, do they still migrate within that range?
We're not sure for a lot of species. Not many people will ban a lot of the bigger owl species. So great horned owls, barred owls, things like that. People don't really ban them, so we don't know individuals where they go. The individuals themselves stay in one spot. Sometimes they have the breeding adults, they're young, will disperse. Birds that were born in one place will then leave and go other places, so there's some migration in that way. Again, some birds that are far north, it's just too cold up there, they'll migrate within their range.
Is there a reason why they don't do the larger birds? They're more difficult to handle?
And they're difficult to catch. The little tiny owls, the stalwart owls, we actually have nets that we use. Nets we use for songbirds, a little bit bigger holes, a little bit stronger. And sometimes you'll catch screech owls. Anything bigger than a screech owl will just fly right through the nets. The nets aren't strong enough to hold a lot of the bigger birds. So the bigger owls, you actually have to set out other types of traps. There's sort of bait inside, either a little mechanical mouse or starling. Driving down the highway, you don't look at the bird sitting on the fence post because then it'll know, and you throw the thing out the window, and you hope the thing didn't see you look at it. All of a sudden the bird will fly down to catch the little mouse and it gets caught, but they'll get out of it. So you have to whip the van around and come back and try to get at it before it flies away. A lot of people just don't do that. Too much.
How big is the territory of some of the larger owls around?
Barred owls could maybe be half a mile by half a mile square, a little bit bigger than that. Some of the bigger owls are bigger than that. Being that they're those top predators, they need a lot of food that's hard to come by. So again, these are really, really high on the food chain, and their prey are sort of high on the food chain, so it's hard to find enough of that food, so they need a really big area. The bigger the owl, the bigger the territory. Snowy owls up in the tundra, they can have many miles by many miles somewhere to try to capture lemmings. I did some work with, again, the barn owls. To be very careful because they'll go right through your hand.
We're talking about the efficiency of farms and how there's an owl habitat, and I was wondering if there was any effort to talk to farmers about leaving some areas of habitat.
But I know in Pennsylvania there's a big push for that. Pennsylvania actually has a lot of situations where you'll have family farms that are getting passed down, and the kids don't really want to do the farm anymore, but they still want to keep the farm, kind of sentimental thing. So there's a big push for those types of farms, so let those fields kind of grow up, mow them every couple of years to keep it kind of old field type habitat to really allow the barn owls and a lot of those other grassland species.
Can we pet it?
We'll see how calm he stays, okay?
Do you think you should pet it?
Hi guys, my name's Kyle, this is Aaron. We have a farm called Squeaky Duck Farmstead, and we're here to show you our turkey. So this year we decided to raise 5 turkeys for meat, and this is our first time doing it. We really like turkeys a lot, so we thought we'd give it a shot. So there's a lot of very interesting things about turkeys, that's why we have them. So this here is a bourbon red turkey, and it's closer to what you might recognize as what wild turkeys used to look like. The modern turkey, we've raised them to be really fat, and so these are a little more slender. The ones that you see at the grocery store, they're all descended from wild turkeys, so this is kind of a little bit closer to what they used to look like. Baby turkeys are called poults, called baby chickens chicks. Baby ducks are ducklings. They're very heavy, so they don't fly very easily. A wild turkey can fly up to 55 miles per hour in short intervals, so they do like a fly over and then they stop, but they can fly quite far. These guys really can't, plus we clip their wings so they can't really fly. The original Pilgrims hunted the eastern wild turkey. Meleagris gallipavo sylvestris is the original scientific name for the wild turkey that all the Pilgrims probably would have hunted. There's a lot of different wild turkey, what they call heritage turkey, that people are breeding now and raising for food. But this is the one we liked. We just like the reddish color. Of course, we're both redheads, so I guess maybe that's one of the reasons we like. You guys know Benjamin Franklin? He was one of the original founders of this country, and he was one of the original signers of the Declaration of Independence. And he was so fond of turkeys that he really thought that the turkey should be the national bird instead of the bald eagle. He had several reasons for this. And the bald eagle isn't really bald, it looks like it's bald. So it has different colored feathers on its head that makes it look bald, but turkey actually is bald. So it's a lot more authentic. He felt like bald eagles were very predatory. These guys were really just very humble, quiet, and they didn't bother anybody. Maybe we should have had the turkey be the national bird instead of the bald eagle. The little thing on the top of his head that sticks up, you guys see that little thing? It's called a snood. And I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, but there's a theory that it's for attractiveness. So basically they change size and shape and color based on how impressive the male turkey wants to be to the other female turkey. A very unique feature of turkeys. So the color of the turkey's face, apparently, changes color when it's about to fight. If it's blue, it's excited. Red, it's ready to fight.
Not really. He's just kind kind of making sure you're not going to come at him,
He's very, very nervous right now. He doesn't.
He thinks you're going to eat him.
Yeah,
He lost the feathery arm.
But we learned that a turkey can be identified, the sex of the turkey can be identified by its poop. Male's poop is a spiral, and the female's poop is a J shape. So, he poops a lot in our car, so we'll have to check that one out later. Male turkeys are called toms. Female turkeys are called hens. Male turkeys called gobblers. Female turkeys do not gobble, they make chirp sounds and clucks. The males are the ones that are the loudest. Turkeys in general can make over 20 types of sounds. We've heard them make all kinds of sounds. We love them. They're very unique. They have a very large vocabulary. They're so interesting. They're just so unlike chickens. Our chickens, what we do is we raise them on pasture, and we have what's called an electronet. We just kind of temporarily stick it in the ground, and we give them a little bit of grass, and then when they eat all that, we move it over and we let them eat a little bit more grass. So that's how we do our turkeys. This keeps them safe from predators and raccoons and stuff like that, dogs and coyotes. So far so good. We haven't had any problems with this. When we had them in cages, actually, when they were babies, we did have a raccoon eat one of their toes off. So this isn't the one that had that happen to them, but
They make a really fun choop choop noise when you
Another-
move them to new
yeah.
grass. That's our favorite thing.
That's our favorite
They're
sound.
so excited about it.
Yeah, they always let you know when you put them on new grass. Man, it's greener pastures, they love it, and you can just tell they have the sound that just chirp, chirp, chirp. They're so unique in that they always are curious. They always want to know what you're doing. Our chickens do it too, but the turkeys are just so curious. And even as babies, they're always just going up to the edge of the cage. They just want to know what are you up to, what do you have. And if you so much as change anything about their environment, a new thing in their cage or in their pen with them, they see it, they look at it, they investigate it, they look at it from all sides, and they're just so curious. They're very inquisitive. Male turkeys have beards, and this guy here, he's not quite old enough to have a very long beard, but as turkeys get older,
It'll get really long. It's like a hair.
yeah, it's not like feathers, it's very much like a coarse horsehair. It's very, very interesting. They're really smart. I think they're smarter than chickens. They're just like, they got a bigger brain cavity. All ground birds, what they like to do is perch up high to get away from predators, and so in the wild they perch in trees. Chickens do it too. Go in for the night, they perch up on some sort of perches that the farmers will put in there. We don't have perches for them. What we have is a canopy that is just a little shade. It keeps them away from rain and sun, basically. And we have found them jumping up on top of it and perching at night. And it's very cool. We have pictures of them with the moon against them. And of course they're just doing it out of instinct. They don't know any different or better, so.
If they were wild turkeys, they'd be in a tree.
Right. That's the only tree they could find. So we let them do it. There it went. Yep, definitely a male. I don't know if he'll do it when we take him out there, but what they do is they display their feathers, and they want to look as big as they can for the females. Go ahead.
How much turkeys do you have?
We have just 5. Getting ready to have some Thanksgiving dinner, right? And you gonna have some turkey? There's a thing about turkey meat that they say has tryptophan in it. When you eat turkey, you get sleepy. Yeah. And so this is kind of it's in other foods like cheese and meat.
On the first Thanksgiving.
Actually, they probably did, and the reason why is because turkeys are definitely indigenous to the United States, meaning they were here when we got here, they were here when the Indians were here, and we, in fact, love turkeys so much, apparently we wiped them out for a while. Like, there were very few of them, and the numbers had to recover later. Right now, they've been reintroduced in a lot of areas, and so we have a lot more turkeys now, thanks to people who have taken those efforts. Go ahead. From the poop? We knew it was a male before he pooped, so.
It doesn't seem to have much of a shape. I'm going to say that's probably because he's nervous.
Yeah. How old is he? Aaron knows.
He's about 6 months old.
Why do you keep doing that?
I'm sorry? It's a very, very small fluffy feather. It's not much feather, but they do have a little bit when they're born. They're very poofy, like a baby chick. And then that grows into feathers after they start fledging.
Wild turkey, and they are very, very smart birds. And as we've bred them, they've become a little more stupid. So none of ours have died in the rain.
He's like, get away from me. He's trying to check a female. Oh, I got me a female. That's what they look like when they fart. I think that's long enough. Squidward. It looks like Squidward. He has a big chest. Oh my God, he looks so crazy. It looks like that's his new nose. He's really red. He's ready to fight. I'm backing up. Look at the thing. What does it look like? Now I wish I brought my phone. It looks like Squidward. He's like watching hang. He's like watching hang. The flubber is like. Oh my God, that's a big butt. It's back over in woman. I don't want to pet it. Oh wait, I'm not.
Trinity, come on, let other people go. Orion, come on, let other people pet him.
Gobble! The thing looks so big.
Yeah, but then it's just like his butt.
It doesn't matter. He's ready.
It does sound like the same gobble, doesn't it?
used to go trick-or-treating. When I got started here, my mom was an artist.
biker. I am a biker. I am a biker. I am a biker. I am a biker. My name is Dan. I am a biker. I am a biker. I am a biker. I am a biker.
Well, we want to thank Ed Fisher for hosting this 20-year retrospective of Passionworks to involve the community and to come in and enjoy this beautiful art. We're a studio that features the art of artists with and without disabilities, adults, and it's just visually stunning work. We hope everybody can come out and enjoy the food here at Passionworks or at Purple Chopsticks and the art from Passionworks. Their own skill, their own take on how they want the materials to move around, and so it's a collaborative process. Which is just great fun and a very different way of looking at art. The metal is real sharp, so yeah, that's for sure, which is one of the reasons why we have one of the staff do that part of things. It's Freddie! Okay, here's somebody. Did they move? Hi, Fred!
No, Athens closing in December.
Hi, Freddie!
Hey,
thanks for coming! Doesn't it look beautiful in here? Yeah. Fred is one of our incredible artists who's been with us for a very long time, and he is the master of line work. You can just, aren't you, Fred? Yeah, absolutely beautiful line work and painting.
This is what it is.
And, you know, Freddie had a Passionworks art show in Colorado.
Yeah,
We knew that, but we went out to that too. Looked pretty nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got by again too.
You went with Joyce, right?
Yeah.
Is it all of your work?
Yeah, all of them.
Fred, you did a demonstration too of how your line work develops, and it was really, yeah, it was. Everybody loved it. So much room that my ceiling could be doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why is my ceiling not doing this?
Yeah.
You know, at home.
I'm big into ceiling.
Wow.
Build yourself a little shelf right in the corner.
I like praying too, so that's really
Yeah, really gorgeous.
we got a You keep walking through there, if you look out, it's like every